Okay, so after the results from yesterday's vid, I decided to play with something here. So I took a stock JP trigger spring and bent it down, and just with this amount of bend, I got a half pound offset from 0, so you can see the pull and reset weights here. So I decided to try it with the Hyperfire ECL. Took the hammer spring. I didn't want to bend it half pound, but I just did it a little less than that, and it ended up being about a quarter pound. So just with 2 pliers, you can do it pretty quickly. That's what it looks like when it's done. I'm just putting it back on the trigger. Reassemble it. Hyperfire is kind of annoying because it has the secondary spring, the toggle spring thing, so you have this extra pin that has to go in. But once you get that in there, and it definitely felt more stiff here, so I measured it with just this change, and I think it added like a quarter pound to both the pull and the reset. This is how I measured the reset. So I started by pulling it back, and then I let it off really slowly, and then you see it click forward. And then I basically just like held still as soon as it clicked forward, made sure that I noted where it was on the gauge. And yeah, so the reset was pretty strong here, over a pound, so I was happy with that, but the pull was a little high, so 2 1/4. And so then I decided to do the hammer spring too. So remove the hammer again, and just the same technique, just take a couple pair of pliers. This time, instead of bending it forward, right, you're going to bend it back, so like the same way that it bends when you cock the hammer. That way it'll have less tension. And I just did a very little bit on this one, not much bend at all. Putting it back on. And the toggle springs, installing those. Those are the heaviest toggle springs for the lightest trigger pull. Then I measured it, and it did decrease the pull again. So it went down from 2 1/4 to 2. So from 2 1/4 back to 2, but the reset stayed the same, so it was pretty heavy. So I got down to a 7.5, a 3/4 pound difference here. And then the K2 grip, I really liked it actually, because the way the beaver tail is shaped, it actually makes my hand sit a little lower than usual. So with my natural finger position, it's on the very, very bottom of the trigger. And that actually gives me the lowest pull weight that you can get because of leverage. So I decided to make a little notch just to make sure that that was consistent every time. So I feel like the shoe does add a level of consistency. So I just dremeled it with a aluminum oxide wheel, I think, and then a little polishing wheel just to smooth it out. Feels pretty good, and the shoe still works, by the way. At the bottom setting, it's still rock solid. So I didn't ruin the trigger, I think. I mean, I might have ruined it with the spring changes. We'll see when I actually shoot it in live fire. But the reset feels crazy now. Like on an ECL, it's more powerful than it was, and the pull is so light. So I'm excited to try this in live fire. I might have ruined a $275 trigger, but whatever. We'll see.